All right, Patreon members, private video analysis for you today. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, going on into the charts here. I'm seeing a lot of little bearish setups for us as of right now. So we can take that kind of hedge and just kind of consider what might be wanting to play out here on Bitcoin in the Bitcoin chart. So we tried to take this long back here on this trend line break. Didn't quite play out the same way that this one played out. So now I'm just starting to really notice the bearish setups. We didn't have the momentum through this bullish breakout like we did back over here. Our money flow was headed in that green direction. This one, money flow was kind of already topping out just a tad bit. So didn't quite get the same play out as this play over here. But now we're starting to notice that our purple trend lines are starting to break to the downside too as well. So that's just something that we need to take note of. And as we start to even zoom out a little bit more, we'll start to notice these trend lines that want to break even more too, especially the purple trend lines. So looking at the 20-minute here, and then also we can notice that purple trend lines are starting to break almost like a TikTok pattern. As we start to break each one, it's, like the second hand TikToking. All the way down. So we'll probably start to see some more bearish scenarios start to play out here just a tad bit. Our money flow on the top side here is starting to curve down, maybe come into that red. We do have a double little snake eyes here, but we just need to be very aware that money flow is also still kind of headed in a downward direction too as well. Let's go into the 30-minute time frame here. 30-minute time frame, also another trend line down here that looks like it might be about ready to break as well. Didn't quite retest it there, but this is also just something that we need to consider out as well. Looks like we've had two tests down here, and if money flow is going to be making somewhat of a downward trajectory like it's been doing here, we could kind of leave that there on the 30-minute time frame. I would say that our next red money flow, if we start to move to the top side here, will then probably send us back down past this purple trend line here, right at about 10,830. And if we break below that, I would definitely consider that we'll probably continue to fall from there. If we go on into our 45-minute time frame too, it looks like we've already broken one of our purple trend lines here too as well. So definitely just some things to take note of there for right now. Money flow also kind of moving back down into this red territory as well. We had a nice push to the upside, but now it just seems like it's wanting to kind of trickle down here just a tad bit. So if we go on into our 1 hour time frame, I think that our 1 hour time frame also had our purple bearish trend lines as well that they are starting to break below. So this just gives me a little bit more heads up of some bearish scenarios that might want to play out. Our next trend line support is right at about 10.6K. So if we start to break down lower to that 10.6 area, 10.6 will be nice support for us, and then we'll have to see what's going to happen from there. If we break below 10.6, then I'm assuming that we're probably going to end up coming down a little bit more past the 10.5 area as well. And going on into the 90-minute time frame here, we have our trend line support right at around that 10.6, 10.7 area. So this is another key time frame that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. Maybe even we can set a trend line support for it here, an alert for us to let us know if we do get a break below that, to go ahead and signal us. We can do alert name now. That's kind of cool. So we'll say trend line break BTC 90-minute bearish. Okay, we'll hit create. Boom. All right, so we're ready for this setup here. I'm gonna probably go ahead and front run this short. Totally up to you if you want to do that or not, but it definitely looks like we could probably front run this and anticipate maybe some further downwards movement going on into our 90-minute time frame. Money flow is also kind of rounding off here just a tad bit, so definitely something to take note of. Last time we've had our kind of rounded off money flow, it's definitely led to a little bit more sell off too as well. Last time, boom, here, sell off. So the 90-minute time frame is definitely going to be something that we need to keep an eye out on, especially as volume becomes a little bit lower. On these lower time frames, we can keep an eye on the money flow, and then as we start to move into the higher time frames, if our money flow is thinning out just a tad bit, then we'll keep an eye on the blue momentum waves. So going on into our 2-hour time frame here, money flow still looks okay, but it does kind of show some rounding off and maybe some topping out too as well. We can also kind of see here that it does kind of look like we are starting to kind of round off just a tad bit here. We may do something like this. That's a possibility. But we are getting a rejection with the red dot here to the downside with a nice little, slice and dip to the down angle here. Going on into the 4-hour time frame. Let's take a look at the 3-hour just to see what's going on here. Also, red dot there on the 3-hour, 4-hour. Giving us another red dot as well. So things are starting to really thin out here, and we're starting to see just a little bit lower volume for the most part kind of play out. So we'll have to be very cautious about how we do this. Keep an eye on our lower time frames. I believe that 90-minute time frame is where I want to play out at, and we have our trend line set here to know if we break it or not. That will probably lead to a little bit more bearish scenarios as well. Going on into our 6-hour, starting to see some more red dots here too as well. Yeah, our 4-hour is giving us some red dots there too. Money flow is still looking pretty low on volume for the most part. We're seeing another red dot here too as well. So I'm definitely anticipating maybe another downwards movement, to say the least. I believe that this was our top right at about this red dot here, which was right at about that 11.1 area. So the fact that we're seeing another red dot after that 11.1, I'm thinking that we're probably going to come back down a little bit further. You can see our first sign of our red Heikin-Ashi candles on our 6-hour too as well. Going on into our 8-hour time frame. 8-hour time frame, we did get a nice little push of volume with our money flow here. But that could be kind of short-lived. It looks like we are seeing another red dot. VWAP is also clipping to the downside here too as well. Going on into our 12-hour. 12-hour money flow volume is still looking pretty low as of right now. We got a topping out of a red dot here as well too. So that's also something to take note of. It looks like our VWAP is wanting to clip down as we can zoom in here. It's definitely clipping to the downside too as well. So probably going to end up being maybe a bearish weekend that we need to keep an eye out for. Our 21-hour also giving us that same kind of red dot pattern here, maybe a topping out pattern with volume also wanting to maybe top out just a tad bit. So our volume's also looking pretty thin here. We're going to keep a close eye on these blue waves. I did want to see our last sell signal, I believe was on the 8-hour if I'm not mistaken. So 8-hour gave us a sell signal here. So definitely a nice little indication that we could be having a little bit of a bearish scenario play out for us as well too. 12-hour, no sign of a sell signal just yet. We'll have to wait to see exactly how this wants to happen. Going on into the 21-hour, let's see what's happening here. Okay, the daily. And we're also looking for trend lines on these higher time frames too. I mean, this was a nice trend line break back here. If we do have another setup like that, we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. So, but that was a very nice short setup there on that 21-hour trend line. Didn't quite catch that one like how we wanted to. I think I was asleep during this dump here. So, but obviously what I would suggest right now is to probably just set your trend line alerts. And once you set your trend line alerts, then you can obviously make that very noticeable and then proceed with your position after that. Let's go on into the 1-day chart here. 1-day chart VWAP's also kind of clipping down. Money flow's still looking okay, but it does maybe look like our blue wave might be ready to kind of top out here just a tad bit. We do have an imperfect 9 to the downside as well, so something to take note of there. Going on into our 2-hour, VWAP kind of moving sideways as of right now. So I would say that we'll probably find some support at around that 10.7, 10.6 area, and then maybe proceed from there to see how Bitcoin wants to play out. But as we start to move into the higher time frames, and I would probably say as we start to move into maybe even next week, we'll still probably stay around the same area. I don't see anything drastically changing right now, especially because it looks like we're about to get green dots on these higher time frames too. So I don't see anything drastic playing out just yet, but we'll have to kind of wait to see what's going to happen from there. And I'm thinking probably short term, maybe a little bit bearish. We'll probably come back down and retest maybe the 10.6 or 10.7 area over the weekend. And then from there, we might still continue on to be bullish from here on out. So we'll see how this wants to play out and then go from there. I did want to go ahead and push out a quick private video for y'all this evening. But with that being said, everyone, set your trend line alerts if y'all are using that trend line indicator. And be ready to get in and out of this market whenever you feel is comfortable. Use proper risk management. And I will see y'all in the next one. CTO signing out. Peace.